Is an absolute nightmare scenario for the Philadelphia Phillies. Listen, I'm making this video. Usually I do it the next day after a game. I'm doing this fresh after that Game 2 loss to the Dodgers. This is very authentic of me right here. The Phillies lost Game 2 to the Dodgers 4-3. They had a late comeback attempt. It failed. It was heartbreaking. They stabbed you right in the heart. They are now on the brink of elimination after losing Game 1 as well at Citizens Bank Park at home. Obviously now Game 2, lost both games at home to start this NLDS, this best of 5 series against the Dodgers. They are now heading out to LA for Game 3 starting on Wednesday. It's a 9:08 start time there in LA. The Phillies have to win. They're on the brink of elimination. If they lose Game 3 on Wednesday, they are done. They're sent home. They're swept. They are on vacation mode. If they win, they play again on Thursday, I believe. That's also in LA. And then if they win that, they get to come back home to Citizens Bank Park, I believe, Saturday for Game 5. Win or go home, but still the Phillies have to win 3 games in a row now against a very good Dodgers team. 2 games on the road. The Dodgers got 2 games here at Citizens Bank Park on the road, so it's possible, but still a very tough battle, an uphill battle for the Phillies to climb. They are now 0-2 in this series. Gonna be very tough. Welcome to Phillies Daily, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Henley. Make sure you guys subscribe for more Phillies content right here on Phillies Daily. Now, I was typing this up, getting this ready during the game. I wasn't giving up, but I was getting it ready. And I said the moment because at the time it was the moment in the 6th inning for the Phillies. It was still a 0-0 ball game. Both starting pitchers were looking great through 5 innings. Jesus Luzardo looked great through 6 innings. And then Blake Snell, he was out there for the Dodgers pitching a great game. He ran into a little bit of trouble there in the 6th inning in that 0-0 ball game as his pitch count started to get closer to that 100-pitch mark. The Phillies got to him there in the 6th inning. Unfortunately, they couldn't capitalize on the situation, but they did have a huge moment there to score 2, take the lead there, and maybe that game turned out completely different if they could have. They had a great opportunity. Their best hitters were up to bat. Trey Turner, he walked. He stole second. Really, he was lucky that he stole second, but still, he stole second with 1 out. Mookie Betts, he dropped the ball, hit off his glove. That's why he was safe at second, or else Trey Turner would have been out on that stolen base attempt. But nonetheless, he was at second base with just 1 out, so a runner in scoring position with less than 2 outs. Still a 0-0 ball game. Kyle Schwarber, he came up after Trey Turner in that 2-hole for the team. He worked a walk, so all of a sudden, first and second, still runner in scoring position, less than 2 outs. 1 out for the Phillies. Bryce Harper, the money man, the face of the franchise, one of the best players in Major League Baseball. We all know how good he is, how good he has been for this team in his Major League career, for the entirety of his Major League career, going back to the Washington Nationals, where he started his career. Bryce Harper up with 2 men on and 1 out. Runner in scoring position, that go-ahead run 180 feet away at second base. He unfortunately struck out looking for the second out of the inning then, and then Alec Bohm came up in that 4-hole for the Phillies. He grounded out into an inning-ending fielder's choice. It was to third base. The third baseman tried to attempt to get Trey Turner out at safe rather than throw it across the diamond to first for that final out to try to get Bohm. Trey Turner almost beat it out. It was a bang-bang play, but the third baseman got there just inches, and I mean inches, away from Trey Turner being safe at third base to keep that inning going with bases loaded and 2 outs. But the Phillies out of that inning. Blake Snell got out of it, and just tough stuff for the Phillies there against the Dodgers. Very frustrating. Your best players were up to bat there. You had a chance to take the lead. It was a 0-0 ball game. They didn't. And then the Dodgers, right after that, ended up doing what they were doing. But first, let me give credit to Jesus Luzardo. I mentioned he had pitched a great game for the Phillies, as did Christopher Sanchez in Game 1. We all know how that turned out. The bullpen came in. Christopher Sanchez got into a little bit of a trouble there in his 6th inning of work. The bullpen came in and they let up runs. David Robertson, Matt Strahm in the next inning, in the 7th inning. But Jesus Luzardo, he was dominant in Game 2 for the Phillies. He did allow 2 base runners in the 1st inning against the Dodgers, but then he settled in and he was dominant. He went 6 innings, allowed 3 hits, 1 walk, 2 earned runs, and 5 strikeouts. He allowed a single walk in that 1st inning, but then he retired 17 straight Dodgers hitters. Incredible stuff. He was absolutely dealing dominant and gave the Phillies a good chance to win that ball game. Unfortunately, they couldn't capitalize. They couldn't come through when the moment was right there in front of them. In the big moments of the game, the Phillies failed to do so. He was replaced in the 7th inning, Jesus Luzardo, in that ball game after allowing after allowing 2 hits to start that 7th inning. It was a single, then a double. Second and third, no outs. Jesus Luzardo lifted from the ball game. He was charged with those 2 runs because Orion Kirkman came into the ball game in relief, and he ended up allowing 2 of those runs to score. That's why Luzardo was charged with those 2 runs. Still, can't fully blame Kirkman because Luzardo did let those guys on base second and third with no outs, so tough situation to come into, but still, very good game, very good performance out of Jesus Luzardo. He gave the Phillies a great chance to win, and they just couldn't come through as an offense, especially there in that 6th inning. A great chance to score, take that lead, and it could have been a completely different ball game heading into the later parts of the game, but instead, the Dodgers, again, 7th inning, just tough inning for the Phillies, a nightmare inning for them in these first 2 games of these NLDS. 7th inning for the Dodgers where they've done all their damage really against the Phillies. In that 7th inning, Jesus Luzardo, obviously, as I said, allowed that leadoff single and then that double for second and third to the Dodgers with no outs in that 0-0 ball game. Still tied there in the 7th, late in the ball game. Orion Kirkman came in for a relief in that tough situation. He did get a strikeout for the first out, but then it was a jam shot, little dribbler past Kirkman. Trey Turner came charging in shallow infield. Should have been out at home. Teoscar Hernandez, we all know what he did in Game 1 against the Phillies. He was running home at third base to try to score that go-ahead run to put the Dodgers up 1-0. A little bit of a bad throw by Trey Turner. Not horrible, but a little bit towards the first base side rather than the third base side to apply right for that tag for JT Realmuto. Teoscar Hernandez just got his foot in there, his toe, just in time to score that go-ahead run against the Phillies. Take that late 1-0 lead over the Phillies there in the 7th inning. And then after that, it was just the Dodgers got more runs. They scored 3 more runs in that 7th inning between Orion Kirkman was in there. Matt Strahm was in there for the Phillies. They ended up scoring 4 runs in that 7th inning for the Dodgers to take that 4-0 lead late in the ballgame, silence the crowd at Citizens Bank Park in just a tough environment, a hostile. We all know what it is in Red October there at Citizens Bank Park. It was silent. It was weird. It was eerie. And we all know in Game 1, if you paid attention, if you watched, obviously I hope you did, but still, the Phillies, the Dodgers did all their damage really in that 7th inning. Not all of it, but the dagger in that 7th inning in Game 1. The Phillies had a 3-2 lead going into that 7th inning against the Dodgers in Game 1. David Robertson allowed 2 runs before that. Teoscar Hernandez, he hit a go-ahead 3-run home run against the Phillies in Game 1 against Matt Strahm. And that was it. The Dodgers took a 5-3 lead. The Dodgers ended up winning that ball game 5-3 to take a 1-0 series lead over the Phillies. Take that first game on the road at Citizens Bank Park. Going into Game 2 here tonight, I should say. But if you're watching the video tomorrow, yesterday, last night, whatever, they lost that ball game 4-3 against the Dodgers in Game 2. Just tough stuff. 7th inning, nightmare inning for the Phillies. Great inning for the Dodgers, but a nightmare inning for the Phillies through these first 2 games of the NLDS. Now, we all know, if you watch the ball game, the Phillies did have a late comeback attempt in Game 2. Fell short. They gave you all that hope. It was 4-0 going into, or I should say, yeah, it was 4-0 after seven innings. 6 more outs to work with for the Phillies offense. The Phillies offense was cold in Game 1, cold in Game 2 for the most part, until late in the ball game. So really just not that much hope, not that much confidence for the fans going into those last 2 innings. But they did get some spark. They did get some energy. They did give us that false hope just to stab us in the hearts. Tough stuff. Again, I'm doing this video right after the ball game. I'm going through emotions here. It's tough. The Phillies had just 1 hit, 0 runs through the first 7 innings of Game 2 there against the Dodgers. Max Kepler, almost like he did in Game 1, he had a double there in the last inning. Phillies couldn't score in Game 1 to keep that going. Max Kepler hit a 1-out triple in the 8th inning in Game 2. Trey Turner then came up clutch with an RBI single for the Phillies to give them their first run of the ballgame there late in the ballgame in the 8th. Still a 4-1 Dodgers lead, but still a doable, manageable comeback for the Phillies, especially for a team like them with such a high-powered offense like the Phillies. We all know what they are capable of doing, but then their big boys right after that, Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper, what you pay them for. Trey Turner was on first base. They had the 1 run. They had a chance to add on there. Still just 1 out. Kyle Schwarber struck out for the 2nd out. Bryce Harper then flew out to center to end that inning, to end that little bit of a rally there for the Phillies in the 8th inning. 4-1 game going into the 9th. The Dodgers did not score in the top of the ninth inning, so the Phillies still had a chance in a 3-run deficit going into their bottom half of the ninth inning. Alec Boehm leading off the inning. Their 4 through 6 hitters were due up. Not an ideal situation. Again, the Phillies offense not great in that ball game leading up to that. Not great in game 1. So still not a lot of confidence in that 3-run deficit. But they did give us that false hope. As I said, Alec Boehm led it off with a single. JT Realmuto hit a double right after that in the 5-hole. So second and third, no outs, ninth inning. Phillies down 4-1. Nick Castellanos. We all know pitchers love to throw him that low and away pitch. He usually swings at them. He usually gets out, strikes out on them. But he did hold up on 1 or 2 of them in that at bat. And then he actually did swing at one and he poked it. He hit it right into left field, poked it into left field. 2 runs scored. He tried to push it to a double. He was lucky he was safe at second. So it was a 2 RBI double for Nick Castellanos in the clutch for him. Cut that deficit for the Dodgers. It was a 4-3 Dodgers lead. Cut the deficit to 1 for the Phillies there. Nick Castellanos came up clutch. Still no outs. Runner in scoring position. Game the tying run at second base 180 feet away. A lot of things can happen. A base hit essentially ties up that ball game. Bryson Stott, however, comes up. He shows bunt. He tries to sacrifice Nick Castellanos over to third to have that runner 90 feet away with less than 2 outs. A lot more things could happen. A sac fly, base hit, whatever scores that run to tie it up. So not bad thinking, but still, he didn't. It was a high pitch, so he didn't get the bunt down. At that point, in my opinion, the Dodgers' first and third baseman, Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy, I believe, was playing third base at the time. They are able to kind of predict that he's going to now try to sacrifice bunt to get Nick Castellanos to third. They can play in. They can start charging as he squares around a bunt. So what do you know? Bryson Stott squares around a bunt again. They come crashing in. He gets it down towards the third base side. Max Muncy, great jump in on the ball. Charges in great. Throws it to third. Gets Nick Castellanos out pretty significantly at third base for that out. Nick Castellanos, not the fastest guy. So that was the first out. Bryson Stott safe at first. So the Phillies still had an opportunity. Guy on first, runner on base, 1 out. 4-3 lead for the Dodgers. Still had a chance, and they really did. But still, in my opinion, after he doesn't get that bunt down Bryson Stott in the first place, then let him swing away. He's come up clutch in so many ways with these base hits, not only in the playoffs and the regular season throughout his Phillies career, not his best season here in 2025, not even that great last year in 2024 during the regular season, but still, let him swing away. You have a runner in scoring position at second base. Nick Castellanos, not the fastest guy, but still, base hit likely ties up the game. You have 3 chances, in my opinion, there. No outs, 3 chances to get a base hit, to score him. 3 chances to even move him over with a ground ball to the right side. Anything. Fly ball, deep fly ball to right field. Gets him over to third base most likely as well. A lot of things still happen. Rather than getting that bunt down, and then he was out at third. And then what do you know, right after that, Harrison Bader, who was hurt, did not start the ball game. Rob Thompson said he would maybe pinch hit in certain situations if they needed him, and then pinch run for him if he were to get on base. That's exactly what happened. Bryson Stott on first base. After that, Castellanos out at third on the sac bunt attempt. 1 out, 4-3 Dodgers lead. Harrison Bader pinch hits a pinch hit single. And it just makes you think, if Bryson Stott does anything before that besides sac bunt, Nick Castellanos maybe still on second base, depending on what happens in that at bat. But that single could have scored Nick Castellanos, could have scored the game tying run, and the Phillies could have at least kept that rally going, at least sent it to extra innings there, 4-4 ball game, but it did not. Instead, Bader was on base, obviously Bryson Stott on base, and then just tough. So first and second, 1 out. You could have had that game tying run. If anything, still could have had possibly bases loaded or first and third, depending on what happened with Bryson Stott's at bat. Nick Castellanos definitely would have at least been on third base with less than 2 outs. In that situation, after the Bader pinch hit single, he was replaced by Weston Wilson as a pinch runner at first base. Again, not running with that groin injury he suffered in game 1. Max Kepler then coming off that triple in the 8th inning, where the Phillies ended up scoring that 1 run off the Trey Turner RBI single to give them their first run of the game. Max Kepler comes up. He grounds into a fielder's choice. So it's first and third, 2 outs for the Phillies. Last chance, Trey Turner, top of the order. The guy you went up, the 2025 National League batting champion, batting title. Trey Turner, he came through in the clutch in the 8th inning with that RBI single, scoring Kepler to give the Phillies their first run of the ball game, 4-1 Dodgers lead. He had first and third. He's great with runners in scoring position this year in 2025. Trey Turner, obviously, a lot of hits, a lot of clutch moments for him. First and third, 2 outs, 4-3 Dodgers lead. And then Trey Turner unfortunately grounded out to second base to end that ball game. A little bit of a dicey play, kind of bounced it. Freddie Freeman had to dig it out of the dirt and hold on to first base for that out. But nonetheless, they did get the out. Game over. Phillies down in the series, 2-0 against the Dodgers, heading out to LA for Game 3 on Wednesday. On the brink of elimination, the Dodgers did actually have to use 3 pitchers in that ninth inning to try to close it out against the Phillies. Their bullpen's not great, so you saw that right there. They had to use 3 pitchers in that ninth inning alone to close it out against the Phillies' late comeback rally attempt. But they did get the job done, unfortunately for the Phillies and us, the fans. Down 2-0 in the series to a very good Dodgers team. They're trying to repeat as World Series champions here. Won it last year in 2024, trying to go for it again in 2025. Great team. Going back home for them for 2 games. If they win on Wednesday, the Phillies are eliminated, and that's it. Sent home packing. A great season for the Phillies. Comes up short yet again like it did last year in that NLDS against the New York Mets, losing in 4 games to them. Tough stuff for the Phillies here. They needed that win here against the Dodgers at home. They didn't. They just couldn't get things going early in the ball game. Jesus Luzardo pitched great for them. Offense couldn't get things going until late in the 8th and 9th innings. Too little, too late for the Phillies. And ultimately, they lost, and they put themselves in a very, very bad nightmare scenario situation, heading out to LA for Game 3, down 2-0 on the brink of elimination. Tough stuff. Thank you guys for watching this episode of Phillies Daily. Hopefully, they can make it a series. Hopefully, they can win Game 3. Keep it going. Game 4, you have to win as well on the road, and then get it back home, Citizen Bank Park for Game 5 on Saturday, I believe that would be, if that happens. But it all starts Game 3, Wednesday night, 9:08 start time for the Phillies and Dodgers. They need to win that ball game on the road. Again, thank you guys for watching. Tough loss, but as always, go Phils.